I think at this moment we will call the board meeting to order. It is 9 a.m. on
This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you, Bryce, for making sure all that happens today. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and ask Lloyd Rourke to guide us.
In here, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Floyd. And I think I see you there. Karen, will you conduct the roll call, please?
Yes. Chair Daniels,
Present.
Vice Chair Maxwell is not here. Board Member Howard,
Present.
Board Member Elters,
Present.
Board Member Peshlikai, Board Member Searle,
Here.
Board Member Hermosillo.
Present.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum. You may proceed.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And I'd like to extend a really special welcome to Mayor Alexis Hermosillo, who I'm thrilled is on the ADOT board with us. Fantastic leader, and just a strong advocate for the West Valley, and just thrilled that she's part of this group. So welcome. Would you like to say anything this morning?
Sure, Chair. Thanks so much for the warm welcome. I'm very excited to be here with you all, and I'm very much looking forward to working with not only the board, but every individual that has a hand in making sure that progress moves forward and we do all the great things for our state. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Hermosillo. It's going to be hard. I don't know. I want to call you Mayor. I know I probably should call you board member since that's the hat you're wearing, but I'll probably jump back and forth between the two of them. We also wanted to congratulate ADOT on a really successful Tuesday morning where we celebrated the opening and completion of the I-10 Broadway Curve project, and it was really cool to hear all the comments from all of the jurisdictions and leaders who have made such a difference. But I know that there was probably hundreds of staff members and workers and employees who additionally have done a tremendous work on this project, and I wanted to make sure that they were acknowledged today because it really is no small feat to have accomplished such a thing. So thank you to all of you guys for doing that. Do any other board members want to say anything during opening remarks today? Okay. I just want to remind everybody that this is a study session. No action will be taken in this meeting, but we'll be discussing the 5-year plan and looking forward to having staff assist with that as well. We'll move quick to the Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, and Floyd asks that you'll read that for our meeting.
Yes, Madam Chair. Also for the record, to make sure we get it on the recording, Board Member Peshlikai did join the meeting just as we were finishing the roll call. So you have 6 of the 7 board members present.
Terrific. Good morning, Board Member Peshlikai.
Pursuant to Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Americans with Disability Act, the Arizona State Transportation Board and ADOT do not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, or disability. No person will be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefit of, or be otherwise subjected to discrimination under any Arizona State Transportation Board or ADOT program or activity. To assist in measuring the public's participation, we ask each individual to please complete an online self-identification survey, and the link to that survey is on the agenda. By completing this voluntary survey, ADOT will be able to determine who attends its public meetings and how the department can improve participation. The survey will also help ADOT fulfill federal reporting requirements. Thank you.
Thank you, Floyd. We've reordered things a little bit for today's meeting, so we'll go to agenda item 1, and staff will present on the tentative 5-year plan that we are prepared to vote on for June 20th. Lots of things can still happen, so we want to make sure that we go to call to the audience after that. Board members, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, just hold those for right after the staff is done presenting. We'll have a time for Q&A from us as a board. Then we'll go to call the audience, and then we'll wrap up with final comments from board members, and that's where we can provide additional direction to staff in preparation for our meeting on the 20th. Sounds good? All right, without further ado, staff, it's all you.
Well, good morning, board members, and welcome, board member Hermosillo.
So on February 6th, we conducted a study session with the board, and at that board meeting, I presented the funding that is available for the 5-year program that you're discussing today. Since that time, while there have been since that time when those revenues, that funding was outlined for you, while there have been quite a few economic conditions that have been in flux, namely tariffs and so forth, at this point there is not enough consistent data that would merit changing the forecasts in any way. So what we're doing at this point is the forecast that you were provided and the funding that we forecast available for the program as of February 6th remains consistent. Should we need to make changes during the programmatic time period, then we'll do so. But right now, we're full steam ahead with the revenues that were presented to you on February 6th. So the program that Matt is about to present to you is based on those February 6th numbers that were presented. And with that, I will turn it over to Matt to run through the program.
Ready, Chuck? Okay. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Welcome, Board Member Amicio. Nice to see you. For the record, my name is Matt Knoll, Multimodal Planning Division Director for ADOT. Today I'll be presenting the changes that have occurred to projects funded by the 50% allocation for Greater Arizona since the 26 to 2030 tentative 5-year program was released earlier this year. Next slide, Chuck. So as Christine explained, no changes have been made to the projected funding levels since Christine presented this information back in February. The program remains fiscally constrained across each fiscal year, but since February there was an adjustment made to the FY 2026 Greater Arizona regional allocation. We increased that allocation by $2.245 million. The increase will fund an off-system bridge project on Crookton Road at the BNSF Railroad. This project is scheduled to be delivered in the first quarter of fiscal year 2026. This falls within fiscal year 2025 of the federal fiscal year. So that allowed us an opportunity, since there's no available funding remaining in the off-system bridge program for the state fiscal year 2026, increasing the allocation and utilizing federal fiscal year 2025 apportionments was a more reasonable approach than moving the project to fiscal year 2028. Deferring the project to fiscal year 2028 would have increased the cost to the project by approximately 12%. It would have been slightly more than 12%. Next slide. We take several things into consideration when we're developing the program. First is fiscal constraint, which is required by statute. The next is project budgets. There can be year of expenditure changes, which include new projects are generally placed into the third year of the program. The cost differential between programming and construction must be accounted for, so a year of expenditure inflation, currently 6%, is applied to those projects. That percentage can change on a year-to-year basis.
And they probably can't hear us either. Oh, yep, okay. Can you all hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, we all lost sound for just a few minutes or a few seconds, so if you just want to back up just to 20 seconds in your presentation.
Sure. To year of expenditure, Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
Okay. So year of expenditure changes. New projects are generally placed into the third year of the program, so the cost differential between programming and construction has to be accounted for. Year of expenditure inflation is currently projected at 6% per year, but that can change from year to year on what we project. The next is the treatment type. Typically, this impacts our pavement and bridge rehabilitation projects. There may be more rapid deterioration, particularly with pavements and bridges, than we anticipated when the project was programmed. Sometimes degradation is extensive enough to change the appropriate preservation or rehabilitation treatment. The depth of the milling and replacement may increase for a pavement job or a bridge deck may deteriorate to a point that a surface treatment is no longer applicable and a deck replacement is necessary. Project complexities. So when we program a project, there are assumptions made to program that project. As the project proceeds through project development, those assumptions and project unknowns become more clear. Sometimes this can impact the scope. Those changes have to be mitigated. Most often, those mitigations are going to involve a cost, which may or may not be covered by the project contingency. Some examples are geotech issues, cultural and environmental issue identification and mitigation, right-of-way needs, and other items. We take into account project readiness and constructability. There may be conflicts or opportunities to bundle projects in the same area, validating the proposed treatment is appropriate, project prioritization, and other factors which can impact scope, schedule, and budget. And then we use a risk-based prioritization. Projects are placed into the final program considering all of the above factors. Next slide. Next, we consider public comments in developing the proposed or tentative program. Nearly 1,700 comments were submitted through the various channels set up to enable the public to share their thoughts, including online surveys, emails, letters, and comments made at the board meetings. The box on the right reflects the transportation modes on which the public is commenting. Not surprisingly, highways have been receiving the bulk of the comments, with 1,634 out of the roughly 1,700. Next slide. So, major themes in the public comments. This is a summary of comments that were aggregated that had more than 10 related to the same issue. State Route 347 led the public comments with 872. They were related to widening State Route 347 between Maricopa and I-10, as well as improving intersections and pavement conditions. Next, we have the Loop 303. This had a total of 369 comments, requesting addition of noise walls from I-10 to Indian School Road, as well as the interchange improvements at I-17 and at US 60. Interstate 10 received 120 comments related to improvements in widening in Cochise County, Maricopa County, Pima County, and Pinal County. State Route 260 received 41 comments related to completing the construction of Nottingham Lane to milepost 357, generally in the Pinetop Lakeside area, and the Lion Springs project east of Payson. I-17 received 31 comments related to widening of the interstate between Phoenix and Flagstaff and from the stack to the split, as well as interchange improvements at the Loop 303. US 60 received 27 comments related to widening, resurfacing, and signage improvements from the Loop 303 to Wickenburg, along with requests to widen the route in the East Valley from Mesa to Gold Canyon. US 93 received 24 comments related to widening and pavement rehabilitation in the Wickenburg area. State Route 24 in Pinal County received 21 comments. These comments were related to increasing the priority of the project, safety of travelers, and to alleviate traffic obstructions. US 95 received 10 comments, widening from Imperial Dam Road to Castle Dome Mine Road. I-11 received 10 comments, which both support and oppose the new route. There were an additional 26 routes not shown here with less than 10 comments. The routes and comments are available in the file provided to the board for your review. We have also shared all of the comments with MAG to help inform their efforts in programming the area that falls within the MAG planning region. Next slide. So here are some major themes based on those comments. We identified projects in the proposed final program on those corridors funded by the Greater Arizona 50% allocation. Please note some of these projects include funding from outside the program, such as legislative appropriations, grant, regional funding, and other sources. Starting at the top, State Route 347. This is a pavement preservation project for $31.12 million from North Lakeview Drive to I-10. This is a rehabilitation project of the existing pavement. It is not related to widening the route. State Route 260, there are 3 projects totaling $172.15 million. $110 million of that is for Lion Springs. The Nottingham Lane and Linden to Sholo projects will rehabilitate 21 miles of pavement on that route. I-17 reflects 4 projects totaling slightly over $240 million. There's $190 million spread over 4 years for Sunset Point to State Route 69. We have $25.6 million for super elevation improvements from East Dugas Road to milepost 275 in fiscal year 2027. We reflect $12.3 million in fiscal year 2028 and $13.57 million in fiscal year 2030 to design the widening of I-10 northbound and southbound from milepost 298 to 314 respectively. US 60, we have 2 projects totaling $30 million. Mountain Breeze Memorial Gardens to Reppy Avenue and Wildcat Creek to State Route 180 are both pavement rehabilitation projects scheduled for fiscal year 2027 and 2028 respectively. US 93, we have 4 projects in fiscal year 2026. Cholla Canyon Ranch to East Old Up Hillside, milepost 175.5 to milepost 177 northbound, and milepost 176 to milepost 176.5 southbound, as well as Placeritas Creek to Date Creek, are all programmed in fiscal year 2026 for a total of $59.5 million. We have $58.9 million for Vista Royale, also in 2026, funded from sources other than the 50% Greater Arizona allocation. These are legislative appropriations, local or regional funds, federal grants or earmarks, private, and other funding. Last, for US 93 in fiscal year 2027 and 2028 is Big Jim Wash, which will widen the route to a 4-lane divided highway and I-40 to Blake Ranch Road pavement rehab in fiscal year 2028. Last on the list, on US 95, there are 2 projects totaling $40 million. The largest of the 2 is Imperial Dam and Aberdeen Road for intersection improvements, while the Parker Dam project will provide rockfall mitigation. Imperial Dam and Aberdeen Road is also using legislative appropriations for that project. Next slide. This is our only illustrative project, although funding availability is the key factor for this project. There are other considerations: project readiness, clearances, constructability, and etc. As a result, we cannot guarantee this project could be programmed even if funding became available. State Route 347 remains from the previous illustrative list. The change since the tentative program we have is the contribution of $50 million of local funds from the City of Maricopa and Pinal County. With the funding contribution from these local agencies, an additional $86.33 million is still required for this project. Other than State Route 347, 3 projects we've removed from the illustrative list. State Route 24, Meridian to Ironwood. MAG has programmed this project in 2030. On US 95, we have the widening from Welton Mohawk Canal to Imperial Dam Road, and US 95 from Imperial Dam Road to Aberdeen. The intersection improvements are included in the program, however, the widening of US 95 is not. Next slide. So we reviewed the projects in the tentative program with the board at the February study session and the May public meeting. There have been substantial changes from the tentative to the final. This slide describes the 7 types of changes that were made based on the programming considerations. Projects were advanced. If funding becomes available in an earlier year to accommodate them based on their priority, for example, there are a number of pavement rehabilitation jobs that were originally programmed for design in fiscal year 2026. Based on a significant amount of funding available in 2025 from project closeouts and bid savings, We were able to advance the design phase for several of these projects into fiscal year 2025, so they are no longer included in this program. Projects may be deferred to a later year if they are not ready to proceed, costs increase, or higher priorities are identified. Some projects may have been deleted. After review of all programmed projects, some projects may be removed. Usually this is due to inadvertent inclusion or we discover a duplication in project scope. There may be increases. Estimates can increase based on the year of expenditure, increases in unit and material cost, or change in scope. New projects can be added to the program based on priority and available funding. A significant increase in new projects materialize from the tentative and final programs, primarily related to those pavement preservation and rehabilitation projects that we moved into fiscal year 2025. Projects can be reduced due to decreases in year of expenditure dollars if a phase is moved to an earlier year, scope is reduced, or other changes. There are other changes such as technical corrections. They're administrative in nature and include corrections to project information, type of funding, or project limits. Next slide. This slide summarizes the changes from the tentative to final program and shows the number of projects in each category. We advanced 19 projects. These are primarily rehabilitation projects focused on maintaining the condition of our road. We had 10 cost increases. There are 8 new projects which were added due to funding availability. Most of these are pavement preservation projects, and this came from those same projects we talked about earlier. Decreased costs, 5 projects updated the cost estimates and had either year of expenditure reductions or a combination of both. We deleted 1 project, and there are 5 projects which have been deferred from earlier years. They need additional time to become shovel and advertisement ready. Next slide. In the changes to the tentative program for advanced projects, there were numerous projects that had an opportunity to advance to FY 2025 as the funding became available and the projects were shovel-ready to begin design. There are construction projects. I-17 Sunset Point to State Route 69, that's a pavement rehabilitation project in Yavapai County. We have US 60 from Tuba City to Monaco's 335 in Coconino County. US 93 Sanctuary Road to I-40 in Mojave County. And then we have those additional design projects that are listed there. That was, again, due to that available funding in 2025. Next slide. In addition to the projects that were advanced to fiscal year 2025, there are 2 pavement rehab projects that advanced within the 26 to 30 program. State Route 260 from Nottingham Lane to milepost 357 in Navajo County advanced from fiscal year 2027 to fiscal year 2026, and that again is by that funding capacity that was generated from shifting projects from fiscal year 2026 into 2025. We also have I-40 from I-17 to Country Club, which condensed funding from 2 years to a single year in fiscal year 2026. The top table on this slide shows the projects which were deferred from fiscal year 2025 into fiscal year 2026 or beyond. They were not ready and need additional time for initial project phases to be completed. US 191 and US 160 is pending a right of entry permit and cultural consultation from the Navajo Nation. US 73 from Kanishpa Road to South Middle Street in Canyon Day has experienced a delay in the design process due to the need to convert solar-powered lighting to electric power. There are bridge projects in Yavapai County for Big Bug Creek and Crichton Road at the BNSF Railroad, which were also deferred from our fiscal year 25 to our fiscal year 2026. The bottom table on this slide shows different projects that were deferred within the program. State Route 85, Alota Avenue to milepost 60, construction was advanced in the tentative program from fiscal year 2027 to fiscal year 2026. This needs to remain in fiscal year 2027 due to air quality conformity in Pima County There was a lapse which currently prevents this project from being delivered. We are ready to advance construction and deliver this project once that lapse is corrected. There was one project that was removed from the program. This is the land port of entry facility in Cochise County. It was inadvertently added and was a duplication from scope included in another project. Next slide. The cost estimates for the following projects were increased for various reasons. I-10, milepost 387 to the New Mexico border. This has assumed the limits of a related project from San Simon to milepost 387 and is now programmed as San Simon to the New Mexico border. The combination of the projects increased the construction budget from $13.1 million to $47.1 million for the additional length of the project. The I-40 widening from milepost 195 to milepost 201 has an increased design budget from $12.5 million to $35.9 million in fiscal year 2029. US 60 Connected Vehicle Pilot Project has an increase from $150,000 to $250,000 in fiscal year 2026, both due to updated cost estimates. The other 7 projects listed above are pavement rehab construction projects that have lesser increases between $750,000 and $5 million due to year of expenditure escalations or development of more accurate funding estimates since the original projects were programmed. Next slide. The following projects were added to the program after the publication of the tentative program. All 8 projects listed here are new pavement rehabilitation projects that were programmed for design in fiscal year 2025 and construction in fiscal year 2028. I-10, milepost 143.5 to milepost 150. That's from the stack to the split. I-10 North Gold Gulch Road to West Buckeye Apache Road. I-40 Lake Havasu TI to Boulevard Wash. I-40 the Seligman TI to milepost 142. I-8 Almona Road to the junction of State Route 85. The Loop 202 State Route 51 to Priest. State Route 98 south of Page, and US 60 Wildcat Creek. Next slide. These projects had a reduction in the funding amounts due to updated cost estimates and escalation to account for year of expenditure. The design of I-17 Sunset Point to State Route 69 Junction was reduced from $15 million to $13.3 million in fiscal year 2027. The construction of I-17 Sunset Point to State Route 69 Junction was reduced from $190 million to $176.5 million and is currently programmed over 3 years, 2028 through 2030. The design of I-17 northbound widening from milepost 298 to milepost 314 was reduced from $26.6 million to $12.3 million in fiscal year 2028. The design of I-17 southbound widening from milepost 298 to milepost 314 was reduced from $17.9 million to $13.6 million in fiscal year 2030. Construction of US 60 Mountain Breeze Memorial Gardens to Repi Avenue was reduced from $16.6 million to $12.6 million in fiscal year 2027. There were no changes to project names, descriptions, technical corrections, and or other changes which do not impact scope, schedule, or budget. Next slide. Now we'll take a closer look at the financial changes of the program. As a reminder, Greater Arizona receives 50% of the available funding, which totals $4.47 billion in the 2026 to 2030 final program proposed. These funds are programmed by the board and are primarily dedicated to the 13 counties outside of Maricopa and Pima counties. The uses of the funds cover 2 systems. The first is projects on the state highway system and ADOT subprograms. The second is competitively award projects on local and other systems from subprograms such as the Highway Safety Improvement Program, Transportation Alternatives, and others. Please note the prioritization of construction projects required by state statute will be developed as part of the finalization of the 5-year program. This will be included as part of the approved program. Next slide. This slide compares the Greater Arizona section of the tentative program to the proposed final program in each of the recommended investment categories of preservation, modernization, and expansion for all 5 years of the program. There's quite a bit of information included on this, so I'm going to break it down over the next following few slides. The overall available funding in Greater Arizona increased to $986.73 million from $984.486 million. This increase is that which was identified in the overall funding discussed previously in the presentation. In fiscal year 2026, the total amount of program projects increased by $15.1 million from $852.586 million to $867.695 million. The pavement preservation category increased in both fiscal years 2026 and 2027, primarily because we were able to advance those projects into fiscal year 2025, as we discussed earlier. We will remain well above the $466 million annual preservation goal in both of those years. Modernization saw decreases in fiscal years 2026 and 2027 due to project movements and also the reclassification of several subprograms. Expansion experienced slightly more variation than the other two categories. In fiscal year 2026, we saw a $29.8 million increase from the tentative. This is due to additional expansion funding becoming available when several pavement preservation and rehabilitation projects were advanced from fiscal year 2026 to 2025. Next slide. In fiscal years 2028, 2029, and 30, in preservation, there is an increase in program funds from what was originally presented in the tentative. The increase in each year ensures we remain over the current investment goal in preservation of $466 million for those 3 fiscal years. Modernization saw decreases in fiscal years 2028 through 2030 due to project movements and reclassification of several subprograms. Expansion experienced slightly more variation than the other two categories. The reductions in 2028 and 2029 are a result of decreases in estimated design costs for the new P2P expansion projects we reviewed earlier. Next slide. The tables here demonstrate the overall change in the funding by year in each board district from the tentative to proposed final. The individual lists of projects by board district have also been updated to help you more easily review the projects in your region. Please note these lists are just those projects from the 50% funding program in Greater Arizona and do not include sub-program funding, MAG and PAX programs, and are not included in the list for District 1 and District 2. You can refer to the Maricopa and Pima County sections of the final program to see those projects. The next several slides provide a summary of the funding. Provide a summary of the funding and projects in each board district. Please note that the totals on the tables for each district represent projects active within that fiscal year. So for projects that carry over multiple fiscal years, you will see a count for the project in each fiscal year. The column to the right includes a sum, so one project may generate additional count in the total project. So if you look at the total across the bottom, it's a little more clear. Starting with District 1, there are 17 projects for a total of $173.5 million. In preservation, there are 5 projects, including 3 new pavement rehab projects totaling $101 million, which were not in the tentative program, 2 of which are on I-10 and 1 is on I-8. The eastbound Gillespie Canal Bridge replacement project on I-8 for 2029 is at $20 million. In modernization, there are numerous projects. There's an $8 million truck parking project at the Bartwell Rest Area on I-10 in 2026. There's $4.6 million for several ramp metering fiber and other intelligent transportation system projects on US 60 and I-10. We reflect $10.6 million for 4 safety projects, 2 in Phoenix and 1 project each in Maricopa County and Chandler. For the expansion category, there's 1 project, the I-10 widening from Gila River Bridge to Gasline Road for $26 million. Another $111 million was appropriated for this project by the legislature. The rest of the expansion projects in Maricopa County are programmed by MAG. In District 2, we have 16 projects programmed for a total of $47.09 million. There are 3 preservation projects programmed at a total of $32.85 million. These include a $21.5 million 18-mile pavement rehab project on State Route 85 from Alota Avenue to milepost 60. 2 off-system bridge projects in Pima County, Florida Canyon Wash and Medium Wash Canyon at $7.2 million and $4 million respectively. The modernization projects total $14.2 million and include 11 safety projects in the city of Tucson totaling $13.3 million, 2 safety projects in Pima County for $870,000. The expansion projects for District 2 are shown in the Pima County section of the program. In District 3, we have 21 total projects programmed for $220.4 million. This includes 14 preservation projects for $145.8 million, such as an 8-mile pavement rehab project for $6.35 million on I-19B from the U.S.-New Mexico border to Mariposa. 5 bridge rehab projects totaling $4.3 million, including the Baba Kamari Creek Bridge, Ruby Road Bridge, Western Avenue TI, Stronghold Bridge number 95, the Rattlesnake and Niger Canyon Bridge projects, and the replacement of the San Pedro River Bridge. There are 3 pavement preservation projects totaling $19.4 million, including Johnson Road to West Wilcox TI on I-10, Patagonia Lake Road to Patagonia on State Route 82, and the San Pedro River on SR 80 on State Route 90. There are 5 modernization projects, including $11.8 million for improvements at the San Simon Port of Entry. 2 expansion projects are both related to the new Douglas Port of Entry, including $42.5 million for the facility and $20 million earmarked for construction of the new connector road between the U.S. border and State Route 60. Unfortunately, we were not selected for a federal grant and continue to work on identifying the additional required funding. Next slide. District 4, we have 20 projects programmed for a total of $208.4 million. There are 9 preservation projects for $76 million. They include 1 pavement rehabilitation project on US 60 in Gila County, 3 miles from Mountain Breeze Memorial Gardens to Rebbe Avenue for $16.6 million. On US 70, there are 2 projects, a 5-mile, $20.7 million rehabilitation project from Cottonwood Wash to Ray Lane, and a second 5-mile project for $17.75 million from Ray Lane to 8th Street. Next slide. Moving to District 5, we have 48 projects programmed for a total of $657.6 million. $581.6 million of this comes in the form of 34 preservation projects, which include 4 pavement rehab projects on I-40, totaling $176 million, such as Denison to the Navajo County line, McCarroll to Perino, and Riordan Bridge to I-17. These projects will improve a total of 38 miles of I-40. There are 13 bridge rehab or replacement projects in District 5, the largest of which are Riordan Railroad overpass replacement on I-40 for $50 million, and the Window Rock and Lupton TI overpasses, for which we received a federal grant for roughly $27.5 million, which is not reflected in the slide. The project totals $48.6 million. The East Holbrook TI Overpass Rehab is programmed for $33 million. And finally, the 5 Mile Wash Bridge rehab on 180 will cost $22.5 million. There are 11 modernization projects, which include $12 million for truck parking at the Meteor Crater West area on I-40, $6 million for scales at the Page and Sanders ports of entry, $5.7 million for intelligent transportation system projects on State Route 260 and I-40. There are 3 significant design projects totaling $62 million, all related to the north and southbound expansion of I-17 from milepost 298 to 314 and of I-40 from I-17 to Country Club Drive. Next slide. Last but not least, we have District 6. There are 54 projects programmed for a total of $899.4 million. The projects in District 6 reflect the construction of the widenings of I-17 and US 93, the Colorado River Bridge, and several pavement rehabilitation projects in La Paz, Mojave, Yavapai, and Yuma counties. $404.5 million of this comes in the form of 19 preservation projects, which include 2 pavement projects on I-40 totaling $85 million, such as the Markham Wash to Seligman TI and east of Seligman to Ashford. These projects will rehabilitate 28 miles of Interstate 40. On I-10, a pavement rehab project from the California border to Dome Rock Road is programmed for $43.8 million. There's also 1 pavement project on US 93, I-40 to Blake Granch Road for $60.8 million, which will improve 23 miles of this route. There are 5 bridge rehabilitation or replacement projects in District 6, the largest of which are the Colorado River Bridge rehab on I-40 for $66 million, followed by the Santa Maria River Bridge on 96 for $17 million. There are 26 modernization projects in District 6. We have $18.6 million for scales, inspection pits, and traffic projects at the Topak and Yuma ports of entry. $20.4 million for safety projects on routes 8, 89, 89A, 93, and 95 for signs and other safety improvements. There are also 13 local safety projects, including signals, bike and pedestrian, intersection improvements, and other projects, including $23.2 million in San Luis, Somerton, Yuma, Lake Havasu City, and the counties of Mojave, Yavapai, and Yuma. The expansion projects are primarily the widenings on I-17 and US 93, including $176.5 million project on I-17 from Sunset Point to State Route 69 in 2029 and 2030. Big Jim Wash and Vista Royale on 93 total $178.1 million. That concludes the summary of changes from the tentative to the proposed final program for the Greater Arizona 50% allocation. Thank you for bearing with me. I will gladly take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions from the board members? We're going to start. Jenny, do you want to start?
If I could, Chair Downes, I just have a couple. My first one is back on the illustrative project slide of the, I don't know, it's probably the 3rd or 4th slide of the presentation on the 347. And Matt, thank you so much for this very detailed presentation. I really appreciate it. But you mentioned with regards to the $86.3 million in shortage on the funding, you mentioned the fact that if it was funded, it still may not be constructible. Could you elaborate on that?
Madam Chair, Board Member Howard, that is a standard disclaimer for the illustrative list that we think we can have it ready, but since it would be added basically during the program year, that we just want the board to be aware there is a possibility it may not be possible to deliver it early in that fiscal year.
Okay, so it's more resource driven than right away or any issues like that.
Well, Madam Chair, Mrs. Howard, it also is kind of depends upon when the design gets in there. What do they find out as they're getting it prepared? Since it hasn't started yet, they're not sure what they don't know.
Okay. Got it. Thank you so much. I think that's it. The other one I think is just a misunderstanding. On the Highway 70 project, the resurfacing from Raylene to 8th Street, you mentioned it got moved up, and I believe it did. I'm hoping we'll see that to approve in June. But then you also mentioned it again within the numbers for the 26 through 30 program. And so I think it was just still on the list. When you were recapping on the totals for District 4, mentioned that it was still in 2026. So, but I'm sure it was just
Madam Chair, Board Member Howard, you are correct. I misspoke and did not believe that from my speaking point, so I apologize.
That's all right. That's what I thought. No worries. I'm just checking because I really want to see that project. So, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Matt. Great job. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Board Member Elters, any questions?
Good morning. Yes, I do have a couple of questions. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir, we absolutely can.
Okay, thank you. The two questions that I have are pertaining to the cost increases on projects. So if you can go to that slide, the cost increases slide. And two projects really caught my eye on this slide. One was on I-10, the other one was I-40. The I-10 in Cochise, the cost went up more than triple. And it
Don't be bagging on my project.
I just clarification. I wondered whether I should speak up or stay quiet, but I do have a question. So that project more than tripled. The footnote does say that it was merged with another project. So the project that it was merged with, was that already in the program and the two were combined just for efficiency? That's one of my questions. The other is I-40. Similarly in Coconino, and this also more than tripled in cost. And understanding what you said, which is the cost increases relate to inflation and current cost, reflecting current costs. It just seems like the tripling of those project costs appears excessive. So those are my questions.
Madam Chair, Board Member Elters, I'll respond to I-10 first. The original estimate that was identified in the program was not adequate to construct the original limits on I-10, and we saw an opportunity, as described in one of the other slides, to bundle those two projects and realize economy of scale by delivering the entire limits with one project. So if we did keep them separate, it would have been less than the $47.1 million for the entire length, but splitting those two projects apart would have cost us more than that. So we would have been less than the 47.1, but we would have gotten a shorter project for that. We would have had to deliver the rest of that need in a subsequent fiscal year, and the total would have cost us much more than this 47.1. Did that adequately answer your first question, Board Member Walters?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Second, I'll respond to the I-40 widening. Quite frankly, $12.5 million is not enough to design the widening of that route, and the estimate was adjusted based on the scope of that design.
Fair enough. Thank you. Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Board Member Searle.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, I do have a couple of questions, and first of all, regardless of Sam's question, I do appreciate the I-10 project getting back. And the new one added in it, and it speaks to the condition of I-10 coming through Pima and Cochise County. So, first of all, glad to see that done. The one clarification that I would like is on that Douglas Land Port of Entry inspection project. On the separate report that I was given on District 3 projects, on the map, I just want clarification. Is this for the inspection at the new port or at the existing Raul Castro port? And the reason I ask is because the map you have with the project is the Raul Castro port in Douglas.
Madam Chair, Board Member Searle, it is related to the new port of entry. We probably used the geographic information for the current port inadvertently.
Well, you don't have a location for the new port until it's
Yeah,
constructed.
We haven't built it yet, so nobody has stuck a GPS on the front door.
Okay, since we are talking about the new port and not the existing port, I'm questioning our priorities because you've got that budgeted for 2027 for the 44 million, and one of the concerns that I've heard from staff on this whole project is, you know, building a port and not having a road to go to it. So I'm questioning the timing of the project, and I'm also questioning the prioritization. It seems like we should probably get the improvements on Highway 80 done and the road built to the port before we start building an inspection station. Would be my concern with the timing and the funding of this.
So, Madam Chair, Board Member Searle, the reason why the scale and those infrastructures are in the program in the year they are, that's to coincide with the schedule that GSA has set for the construction of the new port. Our coordination with them has been for us to be co-located with them. We needed to have the funding for our part of that facility they're going to construct available in the year that they anticipate constructing it at this time, which is why it's in 27. So that's why it's separated from the road project. We've aligned our schedule with GSA's schedule so they can be built together with us providing our funding to GSA on their schedule. And I want to reiterate that. That's their schedule right now. Not anticipating will there be adjustments based upon other coordination going forward, but that's why it's in the program in the year that it is.
Well, understood. But still, we need a road to get there. And I know staff's concerns about the road continuing into Mexico and that development. But I think it's if we've got to prioritize funding and we've got the inspection facility prioritized above the construction of the road, I question the wisdom of that, Lloyd. And I know we're talking about a year or two down the road here, and things can change. But it makes more sense to build us a road than to put an inspection station in and not have a road. And that's my only comment on that one. And not that this is my district, but I will try to help Ms. Howard out a little bit on 347. We've got $50 million coming from Maricopa and Pinal County. Is there any possibility of starting the widening with that type of funding, even if it doesn't do the whole project? Even if we could get $50 million worth of widening done on a quicker basis, and take advantage of those funds that are available.
So the $50 million that is coming, or that has already been approved by the city and the county. The only place where we could use that funding at this point in time would be in the design of the project, because we don't have anything to actually spend. We got to design it to be able to build it. So that would be the only thing that we could do is basically, and I don't know that 50 million is going to be. It should be sufficient to do the widening project. But that's the only thing we could do is put it into the project for design.
Well, anything that would speed up this project would probably be appreciated by the community.
Thank you, Board Member Searle. Do you have any additional questions? We'll save any additional discussion, I think, on like the comments and sort of where we want to provide additional direction for after we hear from the public. That's all right. Board Member Vashakai?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and hello to everybody and my colleagues and board members. And thank you for the presentation that was given. It's a lot of information and a lot of great information. My only question is on the projects that were proposed and not funded. I heard one. I don't know how many others there are. And so it might be a little early, but I'd like to have us kept abreast of the information on why it was not funded, and does it still need funding, or has the need gone away? Because the sooner we continue to support and back funding and advocate for, lobby for funding for these, then the prices will continue to increase, which is a big worry. So that is my only question, Madam Chair. And a lot of great questions from all the other board members. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Board Member Peslikai, the project that was deleted was a duplication in the program, so that was simply an administrative change to remove the duplication.
Wow. Thank you.
And Board Member Hermosillo, this is quite a first meeting, and I would imagine it's slightly overwhelming. And so I open it up to you, but it's all yours.
Chair, thanks so much. No, I'm quite used to this type of technical information and all these types of different studies. So I really appreciate the information that was shared, and the presentation was great. I have no questions at this time, but I am looking forward to, again, working with all of you and making sure that we get these projects moving.
Thank you. And I just have a couple questions as well, staff. I'm making sure my maths, if you will. Would it be possible for us to get, since there have been so many changes from the initial tentative 5-year plan to today, can we get an updated page 7, which has the summary of all of the county information as well as all of the additional programs? It's page 7 of the printed document, and I think if we had an updated one of those to sort of be able to make some of those mapping comparisons, that would be really helpful for me.
Madam Chair, we'll get back to you.
Thank you. I looked online too and tried to see if there was anything on the dashboard, but everything looks like it's still matching our existing or the printed versions. By my math, there was about $241 million, it's a rough number, but $241 million that were advanced from the program for 26 to 30 into fiscal year 2025. Does that mean that you redistributed that $241 million into the 2026 program?
Madam Chair, to my knowledge, we advanced $105 million from fiscal year 2026 into fiscal year 2025 through PRV, PPAC, and the board. And that was allocated to primarily design pavement rehabilitation projects in the current fiscal year that we're in now, fiscal year 2025. And then fiscal year 2026 was adjusted as was discussed in one of the slides.
Okay, so when you're looking at this slide that you have showing right now, those are the numbers that I was trying to add up. But what you're saying is that's not a total, that's not the right dollar amount. Only some of those dollars were advanced into 2025. Is that what you're saying? Because this slide right here adds up to roughly 241 million.
Will there have been some funding already in the program, and then you advance some to add to it, so that would be a difference?
I'm sorry, repeat that slide. I don't think I understood.
So Madam Chair, I'm just asking Matt and Greg to consider, would some of those projects already have some partial funding in the program for 25, and then when you brought that 105 forward to add to it, that would have been the difference Matt's thinking of, as opposed to all that funding came forward to 2025.
Yeah, there could very well have been some split. A lot of those totals that are on this slide may be total project dollars, where in fact there was already some, in other words, when it was moved back and forth, we're not moving that entire chunk of money, we're only moving a portion.
You're adding portions into it to get to that total amount. But can we verify that for Mrs. Daniels, for Ms. Daniels, so we can, Ms. Daniels, we'll have the team go through that and double check that too. Because as Christine always said, the math's not a math. Matchy.
It's an important component of approving a 5-year plan. I would agree with that. It is a little difficult to follow in this summary document as well as throughout the tentative plan. We are always discussing it based on county. That's how it's outlined here. But when you guys are presenting to us, you're presenting to us by district. I realize that's for expediency. We don't necessarily want to go through each, but I think having some sort of document within the 5-year plan that pulls all of that information together, so we have that true comparison. I think that would help. That would help me because I'm sitting here trying to be like, okay, how does what's being moved forward, what isn't? I'd like to, I think, have a little bit better understanding of that. We had a discussion at our last board meeting in Bullhead City about a potential shift in how we might fund, how we might prioritize the 5-year plan. Have you had any, and I know there's a couple public comments, I think, about this, but what feedback has staff received from the public on that particular discussion?
So, Madam Chair, I think what you'll see is the comments in here that some of the locals, like the people up on the rim area on 260, who anticipate their project being in there, if it gets deferred out, will speak to that. So I think the general comment has been preserve the projects if it's your preference, as well as you said, then 347, a lot of advocates continue to ask for that as well. So we're seeing advocacy for both improvements.
Maybe I'll be a little bit more specific with my question. What type of staff conversations have occurred with members of Gila County and others based on the conversation that we had at the last meeting?
Ms. Chair Daniels, board members, there's not been any direct communication associated with any proposed changes, not knowing what the changes, that's the discussion here. We had Gila County members at the last board meeting that saw the presentation, but there has not been any, they did not call or follow up with any discussion.
Okay, and then I just want to go back to the question that Board Member Searle asked on the design component for 347. It's my understanding that's already funded. Can someone please clarify? The $50 million would go towards construction, not design. Design's already funded.
Yeah, we're short 1.5 million for design. You're absolutely right, Chairman. So the only thing that 50 million could go to is a portion of construction or further development as far as any additional right-of-way needs, any utility relocations, anything like that that would be necessary prior to the actual widening construction.
Thank you, Greg. I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page there. Any other additional questions from the board members before we go to call of the audience? Okay, so for next, for our meeting on June 20th, I just wanted to summarize what I heard as far as follow-up from staff with the board. The questions that board member Searle had about the potential of progressing on utilizing some of those construction dollars. Some clarification around, so I'm going back to my notes here. The county versus district funding, a new summary of funding document for the board and for the public's view as well. Understanding more about where the advanced projects funding is really going throughout that 2025 and 2026. Board members, did I miss any additional questions that you had that we wanted some clarification on ahead of the 20th or on the 20th?
No, Madam Chair. You covered it well.
Chair Daniels, may I ask a clarifying question on the first item that you asked about?
On the clarification between the districts and the counties?
No, or if I can ask
you,
board member Searle, what additional information is needed so that I can better understand how to respond?
Board member Searle, I'm happy to summarize what I think you said, but you're a great speaker, so.
I doubt that. But anyhow, referring to the 347,
Yes, sir.
my comment was, if there's $50 million available, instead of waiting until it's fully funded, why don't we start work on the expansion? Whether if 50 million will do 5 miles, let's do 5 miles. Get it started. That's where I'm at.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Okay. We have, I think, 16 individuals who wish to speak today. We did post that we would like to do a 2-minute time limit on this, and I'm going to jump around a little bit just to make sure that we are ready to roll here. So we will start with
Madam Chair, your audio cut out.
Board members, let me first remind you the top 10 projects on the P2P list are very compressed with a minimal difference in score. In fact, the delta between State Route 347 number 9 and the number 1 project is only 8.27 points out of 100. Only 8.27 points. We've shared our concerns and detailed the gaps when it comes to the technical scoring process, and I pray that the board insist on updating this process in the future. I think we all agree that State Route 347 widening is very important. That is why you see the level of public involvement via letters, meetings, comments, and testimony. Over 120,000 letters from our residents have been sent to all Arizona elected officials and ADOT, including you, the board. If public input is to be taken seriously, you must take this into consideration. Pinal County and the City of Maricopa have stepped up to offer a significant local contribution to this project. Please remember, the State Transportation Board has policies to provide guidance for when projects should receive priority. This is clearly not contemplated in the P2P process, which is why it's up to you, the board, to be empowered to consider these factors. Local financial commitment and public involvement are important to the process as well. We have provided every opportunity for you to hear why this project is so vital to our community. We have suggested and worked hard with ADOT to take advantage of all the low-hanging fruit that could possibly help drivers on this road. It has helped, but we are at a point where we need this road widening project prioritized. It is the #1 project in our district. It should be funded in the 5-year plan. All of the speakers from Maricopa have messages to help remind you of the many important factors that must be a part of your decision. We've done this together, this work together, you and I, and the team that continues to speak to you and all the residents. All that is left is for you to make 347 a priority in this 5-year program. Thank you for all of your work.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. We'll move to Bill Robertson, and on deck is Ron Ombrame.
Mr. Robertson, you are now muted. You may speak.
Hello? Can you hear me okay?
We can. Proceed.
Okay, great. Thank you. My name is Bill Robertson. I'm a resident of the City of Maricopa. I also serve on the City Planning and Zoning Commission. I would like to talk to you today about the local funding aspect of this program. The SR 347 widening project sits outside the City of Maricopa jurisdiction, but we are not strangers to partnership with ADOT on other road projects previously. We have utilized the abandonment statute to facilitate the turnback of over 30 lanes of state highway within the city's jurisdiction, where now the city has maintenance and operation responsibility. This reduces the cost to ADOT, and that's part of our partnership philosophy. We split the cost with ADOT on the northernmost segment of 347 within the city limits before executing the last turnback for major construction at 2 intersections. The Maricopa City Council and the Pinal County Board of Supervisors have teamed up to offer local contributions of up to $50 million towards the widening of 347. This is representative of our desire, our need for this project to be completed. This represents almost 40% of the total project cost of the lane widening and a significant investment in this road. These funds will be provided in one lump sum with the agreement that has been codified with the execution of the intergovernmental agreement already in place between ADOT and the City of Maricopa. So the needle is moving. Now is not the time to stop the needle from moving. Maricopa has stepped up. Please do the same by including SR 347 in this 5-year plan. Thank you for all your hard work and your contributions, and we appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Ron, and Ron, at some point, I'm actually going to get your name right. I think it's Angarame. I apologize. And we'll have Tina Dugan on deck.
Mr. Angarame, I have requested to unmute your line. You are now muted. You may speak.
Hello, Ron.
Oh, you muted yourself again. I'm going to request to unmute you one more time.
How about
You're
now?
now muted.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. And with regards to my name, I know it's a tough one, thank you. And thank you, ADOT Board of Directors, for allowing us the opportunity to continue to talk again about the importance of State Route 347. I think it's no mystery that the Maricopa community has been more than involved in helping make this decision more than any other community. We've showed up consistently at your meetings. We've provided detailed accident data, heartbreaking stories of families impacted, untimely deaths, effects on the quality of life, and the examples of everyday danger this road possesses. A large number of us have spent thousands of dollars of our own money and time away from home simply to tell you face to face how important this is to the community. Trust me when I say we all have better ways to spend our time and money. However, we see the impact that this road has on our families, workers, commuters, and recognize this is by far the biggest challenge of our community. That is why the comments to your surveys are dramatically higher than any other city. Thousands of Pinal County citizens generated over 120,000 emails to stress the importance of this change. A city council meeting was held to announce a tax to pay for contributions to this project, and there was not one single person who spoke with a dissenting view. As we've spoken about before, the PDP process takes none of this into account. While P2P provides some useful metrics, it has to be tempered with all of the facts. I believe the purpose of these public meetings is to collect information to help the board make the best possible decision, not just rubber stamp the P2P. If that was the case, why bother having public meetings? These meetings exist to inform and guide your decision with real context. You have asked us to provide the data, attend UDOT meetings, share the stories, and help find the money. We have done all that you have asked. Please make the right call and include a fully funded State Route 347 in your 5-year plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Tina, you're up now, Tina Dugan, and then we will move to Thomas Goodman on deck.
Ms. Dugan, you are now muted. You may speak.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the opportunity to once again address you. I'd like to talk again, as has everyone we've heard from so far, about the importance of putting the 347 on the 5-year plan. The State Transportation Board has policies in place that encourage this kind of local investment and partnership. Policy 26 provides guidance regarding prioritization of projects with local funding. Policy 18 encourages creative funding such as City of Maricopa and Pinal County have provided with their new sales tax. The State Transportation Board has clearly put thought into the importance of having local investment in these projects, and you have a precedent of prioritizing projects that achieve that partnership. The local contribution for this project is significant, probably the highest ADOT has ever seen on a state facility. Between the City of Maricopa and Pinal County, we will be contributing almost 40% of the project cost. These kinds of partnerships can be used in other projects across the state, but only if they are demonstrated to be fruitful. The State Transportation Board gets the opportunity to set the tone and use this as an example for true partnership within the policy expectations. I thank you for the time that you've given to considering putting the 347 on, and I implore you, add the 347 to the 5-year plan. Thank you again for all of your hard work.
Thank you, Tina. We will move to Thomas Goodman. Thomas? And on deck will be Supervisor Steve Christensen.
Mr. Goodman, you are now
For
muted.
this opportunity to speak today, I will limit my comments to 2 minutes. I'm here to urge you to keep, I repeat, keep the SR 260 Lion Springs construction project schedule and funding for fiscal years 26, 27, and 28 as approved in the 5-year construction program for $110 million. ADOT initiated a study in the early 1990s to evaluate growing traffic volumes, safety considerations, and overall improvements to approximately 40 miles of SR 260 between Payson and Heber Overgard. The final recommendation in the design concept report included widening SR 260 from 2 to 4 lanes. The environmental impact statement was completed in September 2023. The Lion Springs section is the last of the 6 projects between Payson and the Mogollon Rim that remain to be completed. The project major elements include adding a travel lane in each direction, constructing 3 wildlife crossovers, constructing a frontage road, improving drainage and sediment control, and replacing and extending guardrail as needed. This stretch of SR 260 is one of the most outdated and dangerous in our state highway system. It remains a narrow, windy, 2-lane highway with sharp vertical and horizontal curves, no shoulders, and steep grades. Every year we see a troubling number of crashes, on-off-road incidents, head-on collisions, and wildlife crashes involving elk and other large animals. These are not just statistics, but a serious public safety hazard. It impacts families, first responders, and rural communities. Delaying this project would delay critical safety improvements that our citizens deserve. Let's finish what we started and keep SR 260 Lion Springs on track for construction. Thank you for your time and commitment.
Thank you, Thomas. Moving to Supervisor Steve Christensen, and we'll have Bob Marsh, Councilmember Marsh, on deck.
Mr. Christensen, you are now meeting.
Good morning, Madam Chair and board members. I'm Steve Christensen. I'm a member of the Board of Supervisors here in Gila County. And the last speaker, Tom, he's one of our employees, one of our best. And I can add maybe a few things to his words. The Lion Springs Improvement Project on Highway 260, about five miles long. And it is expensive, but it's been delayed before, and I'm really advocating that it stays on schedule. It's very important, and it is pretty significantly dangerous. We go from 4 lanes all around this particular 5-mile stretch that remains 2 lanes, creates huge bottlenecks, and it's windy. There's a big ravine. We have had deaths there. So please keep it on schedule, and I petition for that. So I wanted to bring up another thing that's really not part of your 5-year plan, I don't think, but if you're traveling north into Payson, which is where I'm located, and you want to go east on Highway 260, there's only one turn lane to accomplish that. And so we're funneling 2 lanes into one. And on heavy weekends, that literally stacks up for miles, and I'm not exaggerating, miles of people lined up ready to make that turn. If you could look at that intersection, see if there's a way to improve the flow there, it would be appreciated. And I really thank you so much for the time to speak, and you guys have a lot to do, a lot of projects. So please keep this one going though for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Christensen, and we look forward to being in Payson on the 20th. Councilmember Marsh, you're up, and we will have Priscilla Benke on deck.
You are now muted. You may
For
speak.
this opportunity to speak to the board. My name is Bob Marsh. I'm a Maricopa City Council member, and I'm 81 years old. I'm also Vice Chair of the Pinal County Board of Adjustments and Appeals, and a board member of the Pinal County Water Augmentation Authority. I'm a retired Microsoft executive with 25 years working with Bill Gates. My SR 347 story is, until Costco and Trader Joe's come to Maricopa, I must drive SR 347 twice a month in my smart car. And yes, I've had several close calls on that drive. So I can affirm that my life is in your hands. And there are more than 14,000 other seniors with similar issues with the 347. I beg you to prioritize the necessary projects to widen the 347 ASAP. And if you have any contacts with Costco and Trader Joe's, please urge them to open stores in Maricopa. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to Priscilla Benke, and on deck will be Councilmember Amber Learman from the City of Maricopa. Priscilla?
Looking through the call list to make sure. All right, and Priscilla, you are now muted.
Good morning, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Thank you. Well, good morning, board. My name is Priscilla Benke, and I'm a mother and a nonprofit founder here in the city of Maricopa. I work every day with youth and families trying to build stronger futures, but we keep running into our same obstacle, the State Route 347. 347 is more than just a traffic issue, it's a critical lifeline. Families are negatively affected every day. If their lives are not upended by the death of a loved one on the road, they aren't or aren't stressed with the complications accompanying any accidents their family is eroded over time from the loss of family meals together. The time for parental support and education and extracurricular activities. Those things matter. They're being missed by our families, not sometimes, but every workday. Maricopa residents have participated in surveys, studies, town halls, public comment, overwhelmingly. Then we went above and beyond and empowered our representatives to provide funding to the tune of $50 million. What we need now is for you to match our urgency and put SR 347 in a 5-year construction plan. Will you listen to this community, or will you continue to reside over an antiquated scoring system? This is the moment to move forward for the families who are waiting and for the future we're trying to build. Thank you.
Thank you, Priscilla. Councilmember Learman, you are up, and we will have Supervisor Rich Vitiello on deck.
I don't see a hand raised, so I'm going to look through the list. As a reminder, please press the raised hand signal on the bottom, as well as if you're a calling user, you can press *3. And that was Amber Learman, right? Correct?
Correct.
Okay, I do see her on there. I have requested to unmute your line. You are now unmuted.
Councilmember Learman, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Maricopa for 21 years. I serve as a high school counselor. I have talked to grandparents, parents. Hold on.
Ms. Lehrman,
I
are you
have
there?
talked to grandparents, parents, and many teen first-time drivers. This boat is a life-saving boat. I have lost a 10th grade female student, a first grade male student, and this year, one of my students lost their father, a father of 6 children, the youngest a 3-month-old son. What happens on the 347 affects our community and our way of life. A missed birthday party, doctor's appointment, flights, and family dinners. A unique fact about 347 is that there is no lighting. It is a dark 13-mile drive. There are cell phone dead zones, and tow trucks could cancel on their drivers and leave them stranded. These facts impact our community, our inexperienced drivers, and our vulnerable drivers. Please save the lives of our community members and prioritize 347. Thank you for your hard work and your time.
Thank you, Councilmember Learman. Supervisor Rich Vitiello, and on deck will be Tenieka Drake. Apologies, did not pronounce that properly. Supervisor?
I'm not seeing them raise their hand. We do have a calling user, so I'm assuming that that would be individual. I have requested to unmute your line. You're calling. Perfect. You are now unmuted. Can you please
Good morning, Madam Chair and board members. This is Supervisor Rich Vitiello for Pinal County. I've been a board member for Pinal County now since the first of the year. And I have to tell you, over the last 15 years since the overpass project, 90% of my conversations with my constituents in my area are all about the 347. You've heard all the comments. You've gotten all the letters. You see the funding that we put up. I'd like to solve this problem by just simply saying ADOT has decided to put us on a 5-year plan. So guess what? We can move on to some other things to talk about in the future. All your projects are super important, and everybody who takes the time all over this state to call in, to write letters, to come to your board meetings, which I'll be coming the 20th of this month. Please continue to work hard as you do every day and struggle with which projects need to be put on top. I know it's a difficult situation, but 347, as you can see, has so many priorities. 80,000 people in the city, 40 to 50,000 of them drive out of here every single day. Ted, next year or 2 to 3 years from now when I run again for election, I'm going to get you out on the 347 to witness what I witnessed 2 days a week throughout the whole entire election season and tell you and see what we have to put up with day in and day out. So again, thank you for all the hard work that you all put in. I do appreciate it. God bless you. And seriously, look at the 347 as one of your top projects that need to be funded fully. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor. Our next speaker will be Tanieka Drake with Sharon Walker on deck, please.
You are now muted. You may speak.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, board, for allowing me to have this time. My name is Tanika Drake. I'm a resident of Maricopa, and I wanted to share just a vision statement that ADOT has, and it states, to safely connect people and empower our economy. One of the things that is concerning for the SR 347 is that the costs will escalate over time if that project that we are having to delay will wait. And inevitably what ends up happening is there's a loss of economic development opportunities, what services, what providers, what businesses will be lost for this community. That just adds salt to the wound as we sit and we wait and wait and wait. How many more lives will be lost? How many more opportunities of lost dinners, as was mentioned by previous Maricopa residents? I ask you and encourage you to include the SR 347 widening project onto the 5-year plan. Thank you for all you do, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Tanika. We'll have Sharon Walker up next with Brandy Hellman on deck.
You are now muted. You may speak.
Good morning, Chair Daniels and board members. Thank you for the opportunity yet again to speak about the importance of including State Route 347 in the 5-year plan. As somebody who's fairly new to the state of Arizona, less than 4 years roughly, there are 2 highways that I drive on a consistent basis, one more than others, that give me complete agita when I drive there. One of those is I-10, specifically at the Broadway curve. So I would like to congratulate you on getting that project done. The first time I drove through there, it was a lot to take in. And I have driven major highways throughout the country. I grew up in Chicago, and one of the major highways there is the Dan Ryan, and they call it the Busy Dan because it's pretty dangerous. It's a multi-lane highway. So seeing that construction completed on the Broadway curve is amazing. I do appreciate that. I would like to also, in the future, sometime in the very, very near future, be able to celebrate a win on the improvements on State Route 347. We come here before you, our city leaders, our citizens, to advise you of the importance and the urgency of moving this project forward. We put our money literally where our mouths are. I think Ron was the one that mentioned earlier that the city passed unanimously that half-cent tax to help fund this project. People don't like taxes, but that was unopposed. That shows you the commitment that the citizens of Maricopa have to getting this done. People have stated that lives are lost. It's inconvenient to go to your job. You don't know if you're going to make it on time to doctor's appointments. There's a variety of things on a personal level we can talk about. But really, we feel that if you delay this project, it is really going to hamstring the growth and the importance of the city of Maricopa, which is hugely popular and growing every day. It's popular to the state, it's rather important to the state of Arizona and important to Pinal County. That's my time, so please include the 347 in your project plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. We'll move to Brandy Homan, and following Brandy will be Councilmember Vincent Manfredi.
Brandy, I have a question. Your line are now muted.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can.
Good morning. My name is Brandy Holman, and I speak to you today as a local resident.
Oh, it looks like it got taken care of. You had an echo right at the beginning. Apologies. Please proceed.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Brandy Holman, and I speak to you today as a local resident, a mother, and someone who deeply cares about the safety of our community. When we talk about SR 347, we're not just talking about frustration. We're talking about families whose lives are being put at risk every single day. Just last week, we lost another life on the road. Over the past 10 years, there have been 2,524 accidents on the section of SR 347 we are asking you to prioritize. 43 of them were fatal. That's compared to 145 accidents and 3 fatalities on the Lion Springs section, which is being considered for the 5-year plan. And here's what's especially concerning. In 2024, ADOT adopted the Arizona Active Transportation Safety Action Plan, which recommended giving more weight to safety when deciding which projects to move forward. Yet if you look at the P2P scoring tool, the SR 347 has the highest number of fatal crashes and serious injuries by far, and one of the lowest scores. If safety counted for more, like it does in modernization projects, SR 347 would likely be at the top of the list. So the question is, why isn't it? We're asking you to fix it today, prioritize SR 347, and add it to the 5-year plan, not just because the data demands it, but because families are counting on it. Thank you.
Thank you. We will move to Councilmember Manfredi, and on deck will be Devin Pitcher.
You are now unmuted.
Oh, thank you so much for the board for allowing me to speak today. We've done this over and over again, coming and speaking and asking for help. But we don't come just asking for help, as everybody spoke about. We come with with a bag full of money. We come with the ability to help fund some of the projects. A lot of projects don't do that. When I look at it, you know, the people of Maricopa are fully behind this project. We want to get this project done. We're looking for ways to do it. One of the worst things about coming last when talking at these things, or coming close to last, is that everything's been said. It's safety, it's economic development, it's the ability for us to simply feel safe driving down a road. And currently it's not that. As Brandy just mentioned, we lost another person from the Hill River community on our road, 347, just a week ago. So we need to figure out ways that we can get this done. If it's partially getting it done today, that's fine. But when we look at it, funding is coming from us, from Prop 479, a lot of different ways, from the legislature. We're not asking ADOT to fully fund this project. We're asking ADOT to finish off the funding that we've already compiled together. Thank you so much, and I hope everybody has a great weekend.
Thank you, Councilmember Manfredi. Devin Pitcher, you are up with, last but not least, Katie Proctor. On deck.
You're now unmuted.
Devin? Devin, we're unable to hear you at the moment.
And their line is unmuted. Mr. Pitcher, if you are having difficulty too,
we can just switch over to something else.
If you are having difficulty, you can also please call my phone number and the email I sent you with the instructions, and we can try to get this resolved and maybe come back to you.
Can you hear me?
You can now. Yes, thank you, Devin. Proceed.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Yes, my name is Devin Pitcher. I'm a resident of Maricopa. I just wanted to share a little bit of information about, the growth of our city. Pinal County is the fastest growing county in Arizona, and Maricopa is one of the fastest growing cities. Recent census numbers show that Maricopa sits at over 76,000 residents now. We expect to hit 100,000 within the next 5 years. Our surrounding communities are seeing the same explosive growth patterns. Unfortunately, the share of program funds that are going to Pinal County in the proposed 5-year plan don't reflect that. It's not clear how the current P2P considers actual traffic volume or the impact of volume during those peak hours. These are very important considerations. Over 50,000 vehicles are traveling on 347 right now every single day. That is by far the highest average traffic load of any other project ranked above the 347 on the P2P list. And while interstates receive a higher functional classification score in the P2P process, the 347, which is classified as a rural principal arterial, has a higher daily traffic volume than the interstates ranked above our project. Today, the City of Maricopa is relying on the same capacity as the 347 had 30 years ago, despite the fact that our city has grown to over 75,000 people. As we previously discussed, housing is the primary driver of this growth. Affordable safe communities are in great demand, and the City of Maricopa boasts some of the best. Unfortunately, we can't control capacity on the 347. The impact of growth on infrastructure is undeniable, and smart future planning must take this into consideration. We cannot wait for facilities to fail before we incorporate growth into the equation. Thank you for your time, and please include a fully funded plan for the 347.
Thank you, Devin. Katie Proctor, you're up next, and it does look like we've had one other individual. So Mr. Henry Wade, excuse me. Mr. Henry Wade, you're on deck. Katie?
You are now muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, board members. Thank you for giving me the opportunity today. My name is Katie Proctor. I'm here on behalf of the City of Maricopa, and I appreciate the opportunity to advocate for the 347 widening project. The need in Arizona is great, and there are many worthy projects. And as noted by Mayor Smith, there is significant score compression due to that need. With only 8 points separating the top 9 projects, there's very little difference between the outcomes. And we really believe we have demonstrated to you that the 347 project is worthy of a higher consideration. Not only do we meet the P2P metrics within those categories of safety, and we have a higher daily traffic count, higher regional growth, this project is the #1 district priority in our region. As Mayor Smith noted, the P2P does not consider 2 important factors, the voice of the public or the local contribution that has been committed, and this is where the board comes in. The board has the discretion to consider those critical pieces, and we have clearly demonstrated both. We just found out today that the 347 received over 50% of the comments in this year's program cycle, and we know you've received thousands of emails from our region. Our residents have participated in public meetings and have advocated at numerous board meetings as well. And the City of Maricopa, in conjunction with Pinal County, has committed over $50 million towards this project, which represents a local contribution of almost 40% of the total project cost. And that's not insignificant. Our portion of that actually represents over half of our annual city budget. And we have executed the IGA with ADOT for those funds. I do wish to note, while we have provided these funds, they are intended to be a match to state funds and not the only monies allocated towards construction. And that was outlined in the alternative last month in the board meeting, and it is also included in the executed IGA as well. This project is not a wish, board members, it is a need. This road is dangerous, and the data bears that out clearly. In fact, as was mentioned, just last week we experienced another fatality in this project area, the Pinal portion of 347. We know you have a difficult decision, but I believe we have provided everything necessary for you to reprioritize 347 and make sure it's included in this 5-year program. We have the safety, we have the district prioritization, we have traffic count, and we have overwhelmingly demonstrated the public's intent, and we have committed a historic contribution towards this need. Someday the 347 won't be the thing that people think about when they first hear City of Maricopa. And someday we're going to have the opportunity to have a safe road that supports our region and economic development. Please help us get there today. Include the 347 widening project in this year's 5-year program. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Mr. Henry Wade?
You are now muted.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, very good. Good morning. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak, and I appreciate the opportunity to join with my fellow council members as well. I'm Vice Mayor Wade, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about fear. I worked in the Phoenix metropolitan area as a housing counselor for 13 years. And for 13 years, I traveled up and down the 347 twice a day. Very often, when I would have conversations with constituents, they would say that you, meaning us as the city council, didn't understand the needs. Well, I certainly understand the needs because I was impacted by it. I'm traveling that road every day. And again, fear overwhelms you on Sunday night when you realize that you have to get out on that road on Monday morning and try to make it through another day of traffic on the 347. And our community has stood up, is standing up, and in our advocacy for support of the community. I think someone mentioned earlier during the presentation about advocacy. Well, we're advocacy on steroids when we're the number one commenter or representative, number one in representing our cities and community of Maricopa. At 870 versus 300, it seems to me that we come to the table quite often and have come prepared to either advocate for the program or put our dollars where our mouths is. And so I come to you today to beg you to make 347 a priority. I have noticed through the actions of the board members and other members of the transportation community that they do believe that this is a priority, and they do support our efforts, and they do support our tax. And thank you very much for the opportunity to present myself today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Wade. That concludes the list that I have. Are there any additional individuals who wish to speak? Bryce, if you could look just to see for one last check that we don't have any additional hands.
No additional hands, and that was all of the requests that I saw additional.
Bryce, thanks for all your help. You really make that a really smooth process, and I don't think we sing your praises enough in our board meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. And I just want to thank everybody for respecting that 2-minute time limit as well. That helps us as we continue to deliberate on this really important plan. All right, this turns it over to the board members for last comments, desires to hear, see, do. So we'll turn it over to each of you, and just for expediency, I'll just go as I see your face on the screen. So Board Member Hermosillo, do you wish to have any additional questions answered or make any comments?
No, I do not. Thanks again.
Thank you. Jenny Howard, you're the next face I see on my screen. Board Member Howard?
Thank you, Chair Daniels. With regards to the June meeting, I'd like to possibly request some information as part of our meeting and the consideration of the 5-year program and approval. I know we've had several presentations from staff on the 347, both funding, shortfalls, and if at all possible, could they present a summary, again, maybe combining some of these presentations that they've already done that show both the 347 and the Lion Springs project, the scenario with regards to a possible change in the plan with possibly delaying the Lion Springs project and moving the 347 forward. I know there's a lot to it, but I sure would like to see the big picture. And I think the board would like to see that big picture in June from a fiscal perspective, from a scheduling perspective by year, and just the implications. That would be wonderful. If anybody would like to add things, well, if I'm missing something, thank you.
Just making sure staff, does that give you enough information for the 20th? I see.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Board Member Searle?
I don't really have anything else to add. Jen, appreciate it. Look forward to our meeting in Payson.
Thank you. Board Member Pashlikai, I see you face next.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board, and also all the folks that have spoken. I just wanted to mention that yesterday I went on a project tour of the Highway 89 flood mitigation projects in just east of the Peaks in Flagstaff. And they're doing a phenomenal job. And so I just want to mention that I recommended that for our state transportation board meeting in July that that they offer us a tour. I thought everybody would appreciate that. So just letting you know. Thank you. Good meeting.
Thank you, Board Member Hashakai. Board Member Elters?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of thoughts as I listened to the speakers and agonized over our options and the challenges that we face as a board. And while every comment is real, warranted, and has merit, I believe so does the process, the P2P process, and the projects that are in it. Many of those have waited over the years, and they're part of an overall program for corridors that have their own challenges and needs. And my comments, I hope, do not imply that I don't understand the urgency and the concerns we're hearing from the speakers. My comments are really intended to hope that the passion with which we are all being reminded of the need and we're addressed is the same passion that we speak of with all our decision makers. At the end of the day, I cannot help but reflect on years of transportation in Arizona and to point out that the resources that the department and the board are working to allocate or are working with are resources based on a revenue stream that dates back more than 30 years ago. Our revenue stream for the Highway User Revenue Fund is based on a 1992 decision and formula. So it really pains me to hear the stories, to understand the urgency, and to agonize with those that have and continue to experience the challenges on 347 and have lost family members that have changed their life. I cannot overstate the understanding of that, but I find myself stuttering and understanding the challenges that we're faced with, and the fact that the needs far exceeds those resources that are now outdated. And I really do encourage everyone that has spoken from the heart and with passion to us, to the board members and to the department, to speak with the same passion to the decision makers that decide what the revenue stream is to meet the growing needs of our state transportation system. I'm going to stop here. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to just weigh in.
Thank you, Board Member Elters. And I'll just wrap up my comments as well. I want to emphasize the fluidity of the 5-year plan. I was reminded earlier this week that we do not have a state budget yet, that likely we will not have a state budget until after our board meeting where we finalize the 5-year plan. There is a way to fit all of these projects into a 5-year plan, and it would require the modernization of our tax structure. So I'm glad you brought that up. Sam, I feel like an advocate for an upgrade to our tax structure as it relates to vehicles and types of vehicles for years now. And I think that is an important component of the conversation. And I would love to activate all of the individuals who spoke today and who have spoken for years now at board meetings advocating for their project, that perhaps we should direct our attention to advocating at the legislature for individuals to come up with a new additional plan. That is a legislative act that would need to be in lockstep with the governor and the decisions that get made at our state capitol. And I know that every board member on our team is willing to engage in that conversation for a positive outcome. So perhaps that's a project for after June 20th. I, again, want to thank everybody for participating and echo Board Member Howard's comments about moving forward with sharing with all of us the alternatives that are possible, and commit to all of the members, all the people who spoke today, that we hear you and are grateful for your continued participation and for your added voice to this conversation. It's an important component of what we do. It's no small task. Thank you, staff, for everything that you guys have done. Any final words, Director Toth, for all of us?
Thank you. It's always good to hear, from the public as well as the board, and understand that we're here to provide information and for the decision in June.
And thanks to everyone, not just at that table and in that room, but throughout the department who've gotten us to this point. So thank you all. All right, with that, I do believe that our meeting today is adjourned, just shy of 3 hours. So thank you all for just shy of 2 hours. So thank you all for your help today.